Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And for the 8th year in a row, it is the Wasteland Reviewer Awards. Very excited. This first time, I'm not just doing this alone. My wonderful wife, Jess, is joining me, and it'll be kind of the marshal of ceremonies here, walking through all the categories and my nominees. What makes us different than the Oscars? I have 100% control over what's nominated and what wins. So realistically, this is me reflecting upon that year of film, and this is for the 2023 year of film. So added some new categories this year and feeling pretty good about it. And what Jess will do is read through the categories and nominees. I give some of my thoughts, and we'll keep this one rolling. And I promise you it won't be almost 4 hours like the actual one. But Jess, thank you so much for helping out.
You're welcome.
And let's begin.
Alright, the first category is Best Stunt Work.
Yes, which the Oscars should actually have, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it's a shame. So the nominees are Extraction 2.
Which, I didn't love this one as much as everybody else, but the action sequences are amazing, and a lot of long takes, a lot of awesome stunt work that they did.
We love that. Number 4 is Polite Society.
All the martial arts stuff that was going on in this movie was so much fun. Definitely deserves a nomination.
Mm-hmm. Number 3 is Sisu.
This just deserves because it beat up and killed a bunch of Nazis. But no, it's basically John Wick, but in World War II, so it certainly had a lot of great work.
Number 2 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Doesn't it have a different name now?
Well, that's technically the title that it came out with.
Okay.
I guess technically now it's just Dead Reckoning because they learned their lesson way too late. But no, this is... if this won, this would definitely be the Tom Cruise Award for doing all of his own stunts.
And number 1 is John Wick Chapter 4.
There couldn't be any other answer for this award because the stunt work in all of these John Wick films are absolutely insane and directed by stunt choreographer and stunt coordinator Chad Stahelski. It's just absolutely amazing from start to finish.
Alright, and that was Best Stunt Work.
Yes.
Next category is Best Short Film.
I feel more confident being able to do this now. I did combine all of them. I wasn't going to make a category for each of them. So if it was live action, if it was a documentary, or if it was animated, it's all in one category.
Alright, our first nominee is The Ratcatcher.
Could I have just nominated all 4 Wes Anderson, Roald Dahl short films? Coulda. But to be fair, there were some that I enjoyed more, which I'll talk about. But The Ratcatcher was creepy. It was so well done, and Ralph Fiennes was so good.
Matches the tone, too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not that this is my award show, but... number 4 is Letter to a Pig.
I don't know why Jess is laughing, because this was an absolutely devastating film.
I'm not laughing at the Holocaust of it all.
Yes.
I'm not laughing at that, I promise. I'm laughing at the fact that I'm interjecting my own opinion in Shane's award show.
Anyway, well, that's good. That's good banter. So, Letter to a Pig was beautifully animated and legitimately poignant in the way that it dealt with bullying and, extreme bullying, like in World War II and the Holocaust. But it's just such a beautiful and really emotional film.
Mm-hmm. Number 3 is Nai Nai and WIPO.
Those two are the cutest, and I want to spend all the time with them because they're amazing. And there's films I loved better, but not by much.
Number 2 is The ABCs of Book Banning.
Yeah, this one made me cry. And I have very strong feelings about book banning. And if you want to hear all those thoughts, go watch my actual review for it, because I could talk about it a lot.
We can sum it up with they're negative. You feel negatively about book banning.
Mm-hmm.
Love that lady. Love a quilt. Love a good political quilt.
There you go.
And number 1 is The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
Ooh, this was perfect. Nobody ever should be allowed to make another Roald Dahl adaptation who is not Wes Anderson, because this is absolute perfection, and just the creativity in the way that this story was told, and the whole cast, including Ralph Fiennes as Roald Dahl and Benedict Cumberbatch as Henry Sugar, was so good. I loved it. I read that I read that book as a kid, and it just came to life in the most purest way. I loved it.
The next category is Best Documentary. I scrolled too far. The first nominee is Great Photo, Lovely Life.
This is a very personal film for the filmmaker, and is the extreme example of, yes, you could have really shitty people in your family, and it's disturbing. It's on HBO. You should check it out.
The next nominee is Lakota Nation versus United States.
Sounds like we still have problems with how we deal with indigenous people, right? So that was a really powerful film and made me think like, maybe we should be, leaving some of those lands back to the people that we literally broke contracts with. Because, people tell you that we got them fairly.
Nope.
Very good documentary.
I had a lady tell me that if there was an issue with Native Americans being used as mascots, they should say something. I'm like, A, they do, and B, in this specific area, there's not a big indigenous population because we get them out.
They're like, goodbye.
Evicted, to the First Nations in the Delaware, Lenni Lenape in Oklahoma, and I believe there's a First Nations.
And if you're ever wondering if there was a lot of indigenous people here originally, just look at all the town names and shit.
Yes, there were.
In New Jersey. So.
The next nominee is The Disappearance of Cher Height.
I had no idea who this woman was.
I didn't either.
And when we went to go watch this documentary, I'm like, my God. Her life and her experience is basically a reflection of America in the deepest, most uncomfortable way. But I also really greatly appreciate her studying into taking down the taboos of, sex. And it's such a fascinating indictment of how America treats the topic of sex. And a woman who would dare want to talk about sex with people.
Yeah, those interviews are wild. All those guys told on themselves for sure when it's like... And she knew. She got them. Hook, line, and sinker. She just waited for them to figure it out. And people we still know. Famous people we still know.
Mm-hmm.
The next nominee is The ABCs of Book Banning.
There you go again. Deserves to be on that list. Still a documentary despite being a short.
You can be both. Let no one put you in a box.
Correct.
And the final nominee is Four Daughters.
This movie was layered and interesting and dynamic and told the harrowing story of a woman and her 4 daughters, 2 of which married into Islamic extremist groups. And the interesting dynamic of they brought in 2 actresses to portray the 2 daughters who are no longer in the family. And this layer of them doing their acting work of trying to understand who they're playing and pulls out all of these layers of trauma, and just, it was extremely emotional and really well crafted and interesting documentary that really blew me away. I was very impressed.
That's why it won, right, Shane?
Absolutely, there you go.
The next category is Best Hair/Makeup.
And yes, my categories will not be the year of Jewish noses like the Oscars. Because if you noticed, at least 2 or 3 of the nominees all got nominated because of Jewish noses. But not mine. So, Jess, what are the nominees?
The first nominee is Beau is Afraid. Looking
at old man Joaquin Phoenix in this movie. This movie is wild. And they do some crazy work with Joaquin Phoenix specifically in terms of, there's moments where, you see him as extremely old man and everything. It was really impressive. The movie's wild.
The next nominee is Asteroid City.
They captured, that, 1950s feel of all the hair and stuff.
Retrofuturism, I think it is.
Those mustaches.
Yeah, they were good.
So many good mustaches. So... yeah, that's definitely why this one got on there, because mustaches.
The next nominee is Barbie.
Just look at all of them.
People talking about Barbie.
They look like Barbies and Kens. It worked perfectly, and I was very impressed by it.
The next nominee is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
there's so many characters who have full body makeup and everything to make them look like alien races, and like, how does this not get nominated by the Oscars? I don't know. That's my piece.
And the final nominee is Poor Things.
Poor Things definitely won. I love, like, just look at Willem Dafoe in this movie, and that's why this won. But everything else, from like the hairstyling to the makeup, and also Mark Ruffalo's mustache. If you couldn't tell, I have a fascination with facial hair. So maybe next year, Deadpool and Wolverine are going to win just because of Hugh Jackman. And everybody else who inevitably have Wolverine mutton chops in the movie, if there's more people, which we'll find out later. But anyway, yes, Poor Things wins.
The next category is Best Costuming. Just double checking. The first nominee is The Iron Claw.
They really first off, they really captured the time period of like 70s into like the 80s clothes and everything. But more importantly, they captured all those pro wrestling outfits, Ric Flair, and just everybody so perfectly. And this is a really underappreciated film in this category, and I feel like it's because people aren't pro wrestling fans enough.
Probably true. The next nominee is John Wick Chapter 4.
This is going to be the first of many times where I'm just like, are you shitting me that this didn't get Oscar nominations? Because, like, look at all the suits. All the suits in these movies are immaculate.
Shane loves a good suit.
I sure do, and just look at all of John Wick's suits. But, like, all the, like, cultural difference... Like, when they go to the Osaka Continental, like, all of those outfits that all of those characters are wearing in Japan are absolutely amazing. Like, I just don't get it. And also, this could have just won because of the Grand Marquis. Piece of shit. Bill Skarsgård's outfits are something else.
Poor Things. Oh, no, sorry. Best Costuming. Asteroid City.
Also, again, they really like, all the color, like, just from the colors of all the outfits that they put on these people in Asteroid City, because, you know, it's a Wes Anderson film. And to be perfectly frank, I don't know why Wes Anderson films don't get nominated for literally every single year for this. Because, like, just look at the outfits, just... How many times have you seen a whole entire film full of outfits that colorful? Not often.
It's true. Barbie.
They made all of those actual Barbie outfits
also
come to
colorful.
Life. Yes.
They highlight them too in the one scene where they're getting thrown out the window.
That's such a great gag. It just freeze frame and just tells you specifically what outfit they are. So good.
Finally, Poor Things.
Yes, Poor Things is an incredible mixture of like that steampunk Victorian era.
Yes,
yeah,
it is. Yep.
Outfits, and just, it's everybody so sharply dressed because, you know, it's a lot of rich people in this movie. But it's just the costumings look so amazing and really capture the whole entire vibe that Poor Things is supposed to be.
We love that. Next category is Best Production Design. Starting with The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
Also, every single Wes Anderson movie should probably be nominated for production design. Just from, like... And especially this one, because how they manipulated the set, and it's moving and changing and everything, it was just incredible how they put that film together.
I had to remember which one this was. I mean, like, The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting it mixed up with the snake one.
The snake one? Oh!
The crate or whatever. Poison. I got it mixed up, and I'm like,
Yeah, this was the card counting one.
Yes.
Yes. Or, well, was it card counting? He could literally see the cards.
Enlightenment.
Yes.
A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. We love that for him. The next nominee is John Wick Chapter 4.
I'm going to say this again. The amount of detail that they go into. Every film, they go to new places. Like, just look at
It broke new ground.
Just look at the club that Killa runs in it. It looks so German. It's just like this industrial looking,
aggressively German.
Yeah, and like the Osaka Continental is absolutely gorgeous. It just retroactively, John Wick Chapter 2 should have too, just from the Rome one. My God, the Continentals in these movies are just so immaculate, and that's it.
Well, I was thinking too, it matches the vibe of Osaka because it's the traditional, more traditional than like Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all I have to add. Next nominee is Poor Things.
Which also, this one has an incredible production design in terms of all this steampunk aesthetic, like the ship and all the mansions, and everything has a very distinct and specific look to it and design.
Fantasy.
It's so good. It's so beautiful.
Barbie.
They made the Barbie dream house come to life.
They did. They made it work.
I know these are all adaptations because like there's actual things they based all of the costumes and production design off, but they made it look like you were playing with actual toys. It was so.
I recognize the playsets from my own childhood.
It was so good.
Final nominee is Asteroid City.
I don't know how this one got overlooked so much by the Oscars for some of these technical aspects. Yet again, I feel like every Wes Anderson movie should be nominated for production design because just the amount of detail, and like I gave 2 of them to Wes Anderson because in this one they create this whole entire town and it's immaculate and specific, and this honestly should just get it for the fun little Roadrunner.
Oh yeah.
That they made for it. So, obviously was not a real Roadrunner, but it was a cool, fun stop motion Roadrunner.
We love that guy.
Yep.
Next category is Best Visual Effects.
Yep.
First nominee is The Creator.
I wish I liked this movie more, but you can't argue that for $100 million, it looked absolutely less than $100 million. Looked absolutely amazing. It was like a $70-80 million movie, and it looked immaculate.
Next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Sure, there might be some of those moments where you're like, oh, does that look particularly great? But, like, this should just get nominated for Rocket and Groot. Like, I'm starting to wonder, like, why aren't, like, more... I'm not going to get on my Planet of the Apes soapbox yet. Because inevitably next year it's going to lose to Dune. Because that franchise can't catch a goddamn break. But honestly, just for Rocket, this should be nominated.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
It's visual effects. It's all computer generated, and it looks absolutely amazing. So I thought that it should get nominated. So
Oppenheimer.
These were all practical effects, and this didn't
Christopher
even.
Nolan nuked an actual desert for this.
He didn't nuke it. He just dropped a different kind of explosion and just zoomed in. But no, like this had a lot less visual effects than you might expect from a Christopher Nolan film, but it was still so damn good. And then the winner is
Godzilla -1.
for $13 to $15 million, what they were able to do. Everybody else should be ashamed. Shame. Am I going to argue that they were treated well? I don't know. I wasn't there, but from the likes of it, doesn't sound probably. Same is said about Across the Spider-Verse. So unfortunately, this category isn't for the best team who treated their workers right. So
no humanitarian awards.
Which none of them probably would have won because they all probably get treated like shit. So
Oh, we don't love that. Next category is Best International Feature.
Mm-hmm.
First nominee is Other People's Children.
This is a really like under the radar one that had a Virginia Efira in it, who is absolutely fantastic, and most people probably would know her if you saw Benedetta. She was Benedetta. I'm sure you were paying attention to the acting while watching that movie. But
Watch it for the plot.
Watch it for the plot. But this film is such an interesting look at a woman coming into a relationship and having to, deal with the fact that her partner has a child. And trying to build that relationship, it's very French. So, and that's the thing. France puts out so many great films every year, and you could only pick one for Best International Feature. But no, this was a really great film.
The Beasts.
This movie messed me up. I remember I just casually went to AMC Cherry Hill to see this one afternoon. Didn't realize that this was going to turn into, this is Straw Dogs in the, worst possible way. There's murder. It's like neighbors getting that pissed off at each other, and I'm just like, I would never want to get in an argument with a neighbor ever again after watching this movie.
I don't think you really do now, but...
No. Grandpop did. Growing up with my grandparents.
That's peak old guy shit.
Yep. Get off my lawn. You're either friends with the neighbors or you're enemies. There's no in between. But next one.
The Zone of Interest.
This is a disturbing movie. Disturbing.
Banality of evil.
Yep. I hope you got to see it in the theater. Just so that you could hear all the gunshots and the flames and the dogs barking. So you could be haunted like I am.
Already am.
There you go.
Four Daughters.
I already talked about Four Daughters, but this was... I think this was a Tunisian film. I'm trying to remember. But it's such a great film. And see, you could have layers. International film, documentary. Look at Flea. That was international, documentary, and animated, and won none of them.
Let no one put you in a box.
Correct.
The Teacher's Lounge.
This one, I don't know if it's because I'm an educator, but this was incredibly tense and extremely well crafted film that captured the discomfort of a school politics and the educator-parent dynamic, which is very relevant in American society today. And also the leading performance, which I can't remember the actress's name off the top of my head. She was amazing. She really anchored this film so well.
We love that. The next category is Best Animated Feature. First nominee is My Love Affair with Marriage.
This was a weird-ass movie. It was
this one?
I think you did. Maybe. I don't remember. It was a very stream of conscious, I believe it was French. Or it was definitely European. I'm not going to say that it was French, 100%. But it's an animated exploration of perspective on relationships and sex and everything. And it was way too weird and specific for anybody at the Academy to pay attention to it.
The First Slam Dunk.
This was an incredible sports movie and anime. They turned one high school basketball game into this deep character study of multiple players on each team. And also, it was an absolutely thrilling film. And I think I was the only one in the theater watching this when I went to go see this. And that score was incredible. I felt like I was getting blown out of my seat. Was this Hans Zimmer? No, it was great.
Ernest et Celestine, A Trip to Gibritia.
Gibritia.
It was different in French.
Why did none of you see this movie?
Giberti in French.
Why did you not see all these bears? How dare you? I think the first one got nominated for an Oscar. I loved this. See, I watch too many movies for the Academy because my category is very different. And I didn't even get to see Robot Dreams. That's the only movie nominated for an Oscar I did not see. Because it doesn't come out until May. And also I don't know anybody who could get my hands on it. And I'm not in any specific awards group. The only awards group I'm in is in Film Independent, and this movie was not independent, so awkward.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
This probably would have been my top one if I actually felt like it had a good ending. But everything up to that was absolutely incredible, and they upped the ante with this, and it was so creative and amazing. Maybe I'm a little biased, but what's number one?
The Boy and the Heron.
Because Miyazaki is amazing, and this movie was beautiful. Beautiful. The score was beautiful. It's just a gorgeous, poignant film about mixed family, and your mom dies in a horrible blaze at the beginning of the film, and your dad marries her sister, and then you have to process that while also visiting a world full of birds. Those parakeets have machetes and shit. So that's the kind of movie this is.
As someone who doesn't trust birds, I can get behind it.
Yep.
The next category is Best Editing. First nominee, Eddie Hamilton for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I feel like action movies, if you're good, you're going to have great editing. So there you go.
Next is Barney Pilling, Asteroid City.
It just all perfectly comes together. Any Wes Anderson movie is just gloriously, just meticulously put together, so.
Nathan Orloff, John Wick Chapter 4.
It is the best action movie and the best action editing, so there you go.
Thelma Schoonmaker, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Thelma, that's how you get a 3.5-hour movie to feel brisk. And also, there's some really great edit. There's some really gut-punching edits. Like certain, hard cuts to certain things that really were impactful.
Jennifer Lame, Oppenheimer.
If you've watched Oppenheimer, the fact that this all came together in a non-linear story based off of two separate, not even courtroom, hearings all threaded together, and how the hell this movie came together and moved so well for a 3-hour movie is just incredible.
Next category is Best Score.
Mm-hmm.
First nominee, Joe Hisaishi, The Boy and the Heron.
Because that score is beautiful, along with everything else about that movie.
Jerskin Fendrix for Poor Things.
This is...
Poor Skin, apparently.
This should get the award for the weirdest score. It's so weird, but it's perfect for the movie.
Daniel Pemberton, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I'm going to gatekeep for a moment. I was on the Daniel Pemberton train ever since King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, that Guy Ritchie movie that had way too good of a score for the movie that it was in.
He did it for us.
And he's been killing it since. And this is another one, and for some reason the Academy doesn't want to pay attention to it.
Ludwig Göransson, Oppenheimer.
Oh, how do you one-up Hans Zimmer for Christopher Nolan movies? He did it with Tenet, and he did it again with Oppenheimer. This score was just, ugh.
Finally, Robbie Robertson, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Rest in peace, Robbie Robertson. But I love this score. The mixture of instruments, the inclusion of guitar, and also of indigenous drums and everything. That whole entire concoction of a score was just absolutely incredible. I feel like
in the chest.
Killers of the Flower Moon is going to be the Banshees of Inisherin of last year, where it's just in another year, just one movie coming. Yep.
Oh.
And Dune didn't even come out this year like it was supposed to. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. Insane.
Next category is Best Cinematography.
Mm-hmm. My favorite category. This is the Roger Deakins Award, because he is the GOAT.
First nominee is Matthias Erdely. Is that right?
Sure. For
The Iron Claw.
This movie is gorgeous. There's this opening sequence shot in black and white that's one of the most visceral scenes I saw in a movie this year. This is the way that they capture, this was really tough between this and The Holdovers for capturing a feeling of a specific time, but I went with this one because it was just it was an A24 film, so it was a little bit more like, we're going to art you out of your seat.
Art.
Yep.
Robbie Ryan for Poor Things.
Poor Things looks gorgeous. And so weird. And all the colors and the framing and the curved fisheye lenses that Yorgos Lanthimos loves to have in his movies. So good.
Rodrigo Prieto, Killers of the Flower Moon.
He also did Barbie. What a year for him.
Good for him.
He's been shooting... I think he's been shooting Scorsese films since Silence, which... Gorgeous. This movie is gorgeous. There's specific shots of, like, when you see Hale's Ranch for the first time, you're just taken aback by, like, the scale and the scope of this. This is a historical epic. It's so... And it looks so gorgeous.
Hoyt van Hoytema, Oppenheimer.
This film is gorgeous because it's a Christopher Nolan film. And Hoyt van Hoytema, I think he picked up with Dunkirk after Wally Pfister stopped being Christopher Nolan's cinematographer. Yet again, they're a perfect collaboration and just making gorgeous films.
Dan Lostson, John Wick Chapter 4.
Let me get on my soapbox for a moment because this man should have won for every John Wick movie up to this point because, God, there's shots from the Osaka Continental sequence of this film that are some of the most gorgeous looking shots I've seen in a movie in a long time, and I'm just like, and nobody is talking about this for awards. At least he got recognized for Shape of Water, which also came out the same year as John Wick Chapter 2, which was crazy. So good for that guy.
Love that for him.
Mm-hmm.
Next category is Best Screenplay.
Because I didn't want to go through all the bull crap of splitting them up, because the Academy has the dumbest ass rules. Sequels automatically adapted. What? What's Barbie adapted from? There's no written...
Barbie Cinderella film.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, what are our nominees?
David Hemmingson, The Holdovers.
This is awkward now because this is being accused of plagiarism as we speak. But it's so great. I love the writing and I love this story and the characters and the depth that they have.
Tony McNamara, Poor Things.
This, for a man writing a film about this, I think he does a great job. So he should be honored for it.
Cord Jefferson, American Fiction.
I loved American Fiction. There's so many layers to this film, and I see a lot of people giving it very middling, like 3-star reviews on Letterboxd. I don't get it. Like, this film just hit on such... There's so much depth to the family drama, and everybody's just so hooked on the whole, he makes that book and everything, but I blame the marketing, because... This is why you shouldn't pay attention to trailers, nor should they set up expectations for you.
Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon.
They took an amazing true crime novel, reworked the whole perspective of it, and did it in an effective way that fits the lens of how Scorsese likes to tell his stories, which is white men are bad and do horrible things. And if you feel any sympathy for them, look in the mirror. Because that's exactly what this film did.
Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer.
I'm not going to say this is on Sorkin level of like The Social Network, but the basic structure is very similar. And it's incredible how this story is all pulled together through a couple of like 2 specific hearings being told in different times. And just... What's so amazing about Oppenheimer, it does all of these things great, but with so much varying things to it. Everything is so complicated, and it all works, and that's because it's a Christopher Nolan movie. Because I don't think he could make a simple film, to be perfectly honest. Even Insomnia, like, that was like his most straightforward movie, and it's still not 100%. And then next is a category that I made that I also believe should be on here.
Best vocal performance.
Mm-hmm.
First, okay.
This also kind of includes motion capture performances. It's more of an encapsulating kind of thing for me. So,
first nominee is Haley Steinfeld, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Because Gwen almost stole the show. That moment where she has with her father, that melted. Mm-hmm. It was the biggest emotional impact of the film, so she definitely gave a fantastic performance.
Jackie Chan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
The fact that the Academy did not nominate this for animated feature blew my mind, But Jackie Chan was so much fun.
He was so sweet.
As Splinter. Oh my god, loved him.
Masaki Suda, The Boy and the Heron.
So no, I did not give this to Robert Pattinson, who did the dubbed version. Who, if you actually watch the subbed version, will know he basically did the voice that the Japanese actor did. It's such a creepy and weird performance, and I loved it.
Jack Black, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
He carried this movie on his back. And if you notice, I don't do original song for my awards, because it's a crapshoot. But he should be on here for Peaches. Almost exclusively. And then he also stole the whole film. So, because Jack Black's amazing.
Bradley Cooper, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
God, if this didn't hit you, I think you're inhuman. Sorry. Not to offend you or anything, but like that performance that he gives as Rocket, he's been amazing in every one of these films, but like this is like the crown jewel of them with the arc that he gets to go on. Now we're getting to the big ones.
Next category is Best Supporting Actress.
Mm-hmm.
First nominee, Taraji P. Henson, The Color Purple.
I know Danielle Brooks is getting all the attention for this, but I really like Taraji P. Henson in this. And also, The Color Purple should have got more attention. Just my opinion. And I've noticed a lot of other people's opinions, so...
Rina Sawayama, John Wick, Chapter 4.
She stood out so much as Akira, and she... The physicality she brought to this performance was incredible. And then her minimal... Like, she's in one act of this film and really makes an impact. Made me want a spin-off with her in it. And got me to listen to all of her music, which is also great. So, I'm a fan now. So...
Myra Lucretia Taylor, American Fiction.
She is a delight in this movie, and every scene she's in, she steals the show. She's like the maid for the family, and she is so wonderful. Every so often, you find a role like this in a movie, and just charms the hell out of you.
So gentle soul.
Yes, and the whole entire cast is amazing. I could even nominated her. Spoiler alert. Her new hubby that she gets. He could have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Sterling K. Brown was amazing.
That's so sweet.
Oh my god.
They have a great romance.
If you didn't love that movie, what's wrong with you?
Well, I've heard that it's people who have read the book. Apparently the book is even better. I haven't read the book. But that's when I've read opinions about it. It's you should read the book. Juliette Binoche, The Taste of Things.
So this movie probably has a bad connotation because the only reason it got selected by France for their selection for international film was because they made a political decision to bury Triet, who is the filmmaker for Anatomy of a Fall. So they didn't choose that. And so The Taste of Things got nominated. I love The Taste of Things, and Juliette Binoche is an incredible actress, and she kills it. I could watch her cooking for, like... She could have a cooking show, I'd watch it. And speaking of editing, there's one edit in this movie that's related to a pair, to her, that is probably one of the most memorable edits in any movie this year. I'm going to leave it at that. You see a lot of her.
Next nominee, Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers.
I walked out of The Holdovers and was like, Divine Joy Randolph is winning an Oscar, and she won a Wasteland Reviewer Award because she was just
else, right?
She's literally won every single award. Honestly, the supporting awards this year were like locks, and I agree with the Academy as we get to supporting actor as well.
The category is Best Supporting Actor. First nominee, Donnie Yen, John Wick, Chapter 4.
Kane was such a great character in this movie, and I also want to see a spin-off of him, and Donnie Yen brought so much to this role. It makes me mad that like a lot of physical performances don't get the attention like that. And is Keanu Reeves great at line reading? No. Which is why he cuts almost all of his dialogue off in these movies. But he is so good at the reactions and the physical aspects. And Donnie Yen is incredible in this movie. He almost stole the show. And it's a John Wick movie. So that's hard to steal from John Wick.
Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things.
So smug. This is a hard choice between him and Willem Dafoe for this movie because they're so very different performances hitting on different things. But God, Mark Ruffalo, I would have nominated him from the trailer.
Punchable Face.
Oh my God.
Punchable Face of the Year.
Indeed.
I hate that guy. Ryan Gosling, Barbie.
Good for a year of comedic performances because Ryan Gosling is so damn funny in this movie. So damn funny. You know, once I found out that patriarchy wasn't about horses, I kind of lost interest. Sublime! And, oh my God, just everything about Ken in this. Beach! I'm going to stop, or I'm just going to quote every single line that he has in the movie.
Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon.
If it wasn't for another Robert having the best performance he's given in decades, God. Robert De Niro was so damn good in this. Between this and The Irishman, he hasn't acted this well since, like, Heat. That was 1995. And Casino. They were the same year. Like, seriously.
That new baby rejuvenated.
Oh, my God. He was intimidating. And he's, like, in real life, Hale was a big man.
Mm-hmm.
De Niro was a big man in this film, even though he's
maybe like 6'3",
slightly below average height Italian American man. But no,
an Italian American man.
He's probably above average height for an Italian American man, but not for an
at least that generation.
Not for an American man. He's
Sergio was pretty tall. He was like 6'1", 6'2".
We got it. Some of us got it from somewhere. Didn't get it
you
from the
have a lot
Italians.
of English, Irish in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, my grandfather, who was 100% Italian from 2 Italian immigrants, he was 5'10", 5'11".
Which is probably above average. A lot
For
of it has
Italian
to do with nutrition, too, I think. Anyway. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer.
Him as Victor Strauss in this is incredible. The performance he gives is so great. And what's crazy is the trailer showed him for 2 seconds. You would never believe how important and integral he is to this film, and he absolutely knocks it out of the park.
Next category, Best Actress. First nominee is Fantasia Barrino, The Color Purple.
She killed it. She was amazing. And yet again, I don't get it. What are you doing?
Not seeing that, I guess.
Yep.
Next nominee is Leonie Benesh, The Teacher's Lounge.
I told you she gave a great performance, and that's her name. So now you got it. She was so great in this film and really anchored the film.
Virginie Efira, Other People's Children.
I'm probably the biggest fan of Virginia Efira in all the United States, and she gave a fantastic performance in Other People's Children. And every film that I've seen her in, so you should check out some more of her films.
Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon.
You know, she had to go up against Leo and De Niro, and she killed it. And there's a silent strength about her performance. Arguably, she probably would be supporting in the framework of the actual film. Mm-hmm. In the real life story, no, Molly is... like, she's the main character, along with White, the FBI agent. Yeah. But that's not the story that Scorsese took it, perspective he took it from, but she's so great.
Emma Stone, Poor Things.
I cannot name a more intricate and complicated performance I've seen in a film in a long-ass time. The fact that literally every single scene, she has to do something slightly different.
She's growing.
It's insane. I'm in awe of this performance and the intricacy of all the meticulous work that her and probably Yorgos Lanthimos and whoever's in charge of like script supervisor, like making sure that every scene has that continuity and that growth in her character. It's insane. And she's also hilarious. And also has really great emotional beats too. And such like a strong, confident performance. It's just amazing. I was blown away. We're almost there. We only got a couple more.
Next category, Best Actor. First nominee, Zac Efron, The Iron Claw.
Zac Efron was amazing. And it makes me so sad that this got nominated for nothing. Nothing. This is definitely career best performance, and then he was in Ricky Stenicki. And brought nothing, because that character
nice
was...
palate cleanser.
That character was nothing. It wasn't even a character. He was just the guy.
Stand-in. The male person in a beach read.
He was so good, though, in The Iron Claw.
Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction.
It makes me so happy that he's finally getting attention because he was so damn good in this movie. He's hilarious and also has so many complicated emotions and layers to him, and his drunk acting is impressive.
Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers.
Speaking of a very detailed performance, like, it doesn't evolve physically throughout the film, but there's so many little details and quirks to this character. And then it has all the emotional beats, and he's hilarious. And he's such an a-hole, but I loved him by the end, and he went on such a great journey of growth. And Paul Giamatti's such an underappreciated actor.
Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer.
I really wanted to give this to him this year, because he was so damn good. And he finally got, like, he is gives one of my favorite TV performances ever as Thomas Shelby. Peaky Blinders. But, like, he's so good in Oppenheimer. But
Joaquin Phoenix, Beau Was Afraid.
this is the most unhinged, crazy, layered, complicated performance from an emotional standpoint. This movie made me feel like I had anxiety. And
it's a good time, Shane.
Ari Aster and what he did directing this film and what Joaquin Phoenix did bringing this character to life, it's incredible. And it was just too weird for anybody's good. And it was 3 hours of just being too weird and unhinged for anybody's good. I could have even thrown Nathan Lane in for Best Supporting Actor for this movie, because this movie's wild. I don't know if I should show it to Jess or not, to be honest.
It's like reducing my life.
Last two.
Next category is Best Director. First nominee, Takashi Yamazaki, Godzilla -1.
This movie was great, and it worked in so many different facets, and it was such a well-rounded, impressive film. It was legitimately terrifying at times on a horror movie level. The scale with such a small budget was so great. The tension and the emotions. I cared about people in a Godzilla movie.
What? Crazy. Chad Stileski, John Wick Chapter 4.
This man's never gonna get the appreciation he deserves for directing the living hell out of all four of these John Wick movies. He will
from you, Shane.
Yes, as he gets Best Director at the 8th Annual Wasteland Reviewer Awards. No, sorry, he's nominated. Yeah, it's going to be no surprise once we get to number one. Continue.
Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things.
I vibe with Yorgos Lanthimos, weird-ass Greek man.
That's the Mediterranean in you.
I'm Spanish and I'm Italian. Too bad I don't have a little Greek in there, too. I would have
probably do at some point.
I would have gotten the spread.
I didn't get that far back in your family tree yet. I'm dipping my toes in genealogy.
So, Yorgos Lanthimos is an expert at creating tone and atmosphere, and he did it with this one, too.
Love that from him. Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon.
We keep talking about age limits for presidents and politicians, yet this little 80-year-old Italian man is out here making gold. Directed, like, you made a 3.5-hour historical epic western about American racism and systematic oppression of indigenous people, and did it Scorsese style, and it still hits like a sledgehammer. So good.
Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer.
This is one of the most intricate, complex biopics I've ever seen. When I heard that he was making a biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer, I'm like, wow, Nolan, you're really going for that Oscar. And then you watch it, I'm like, my God, this movie felt like a Nolan movie. It doesn't feel like a biopic because it feels like you're watching a Christopher Nolan movie. Oh, man, it was so good. He's finally going to win his Oscar, so there you go.
Love that for him.
Yep.
Final category is Best Picture.
I'm not going to say anything about these because I've talked about all of them. But just...
Spoiler alert.
Number 5.
The Boy and the Heron. Killers of the Flower Moon. Poor Things. Oppenheimer.
Shocked it wasn't Oppenheimer that won. Then I watched...
The Iron Claw.
It makes me so sad. It makes me so sad this got no Oscar nominations, but damn, is this a movie hit like a ton of bricks, and there's so much emotion to it. And people just thought it was a wrestling movie. They didn't see that A24 at the beginning. This wasn't just going to be a wrestling movie. And I'm that person who knows wrestling history. I'm just like, oh no, I got to warn people. Yep. But that's a wrap on the 8th annual Wasteland Reviewer Awards. Jess, thank you so much for emceeing this event.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
And I'm sure all of you have a lot of feelings about my thoughts here. Put them in the comments.
Big feelings.
But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.